the WD-40 coach. I created a system. Again, my name is Andrew Pais. I am a clinical hypnotherapist, master hypnotherapist. I am a master success coach. And as I looked around coaching today, I saw that people get dependent on coaches. And I don't want anybody dependent on me. That's why I got the voice. But besides that, the thing is, we all have problems. We all get stuck from time to time. And the sooner and quicker we can get ourselves unstuck, if somebody come in and give you that one little tip, that little help that gets you unstuck and gets you going, that should be the job of a coach. And part of what I looked at when I did this was I said, a really great coach makes you do something you wouldn't normally do, even though you're capable of doing it. Would you agree with that? No. Really gives you that kick in the butt and says, yes, you can do it, when you say, no, I can't. And that's where my system came up. But that's not what I'm going to talk to you about today. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit something different. Who here likes good results? Come on. Who's ever seen a result? I have. Would you want better results in everything that you do? Absolutely. Yep. Would you like to learn how to get better results in everything you do? Yep. And what's interesting is most of the time nobody teaches you how to do that. I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. Because I always look at results. Hey, in America, what did you always hear? Show me the results. What did you do for me today? Well, I want you to do exactly the way you used to do it, or we still do it, and I still want better results. You ever hear that one? How many of you said that? Many of you. Let's be truthful. How many have said, I just want to see the results? Come on, put your hands up. It's all in the results. But what makes results? And I'm going to hold off 1 second while Pete hands out my little flyer, my little worksheet there for you guys, and tell you a little story about a gentleman who was home one night, and he heard all this commotion in the other room. And he asked what's going on, and his wife walked out with their daughter, and never got anything more than she's a teacher crying out loud. And her report card just came in, and she got 3 B's and an A. That's a huge increase, isn't it? So Mom said to him, let's do something special for her. He said, absolutely. What would you like to do? And she said, I want to go for dessert. Fine. Where do you want to go? I want to go to the yogurt place, you know, where you pour your own yogurt and you put the toppings on and pay. That was her favorite place. In fact, I think it was over in Costa Mesa. If anybody knows Costa Mesa, it's called America's Best Yogurt. Not important, but they decided to go. It turned out that that night when they got there, the place was packed. For some reason, some school had let the kids out, or there was a team, but the place was packed. And so we got like 6 tables. They were teenagers. And he saw that opening. Isn't that a great opening? Where somebody's just about to get up, and you just fire for the table, and you watch all those teenagers look at you and you go, I'm still faster and smarter than you are. Well, he grabbed that table, sent his wife and daughter over to get what they wanted, and then he got up and went over, chose what he wanted. And as he got to the first line of condiments, he was standing there looking at and making a choice of whether to have sprinkles or chocolate chips. That was the last decision he made for 2 days. Because the next decision he made was whether or not to have a pacemaker or a pacemaker defibrillator. Because at that point, he literally dropped dead. Now I know it's a hard story to tell with a friend of yours who's sick, but it can happen in a moment's notice. And if you don't think that's life-changing, it is. If you don't think that's something where you have a full out-of-body, and I asked him, he had a full out-of-body experience, saw the white light, the whole thing. And for him, it was life-changing. He knew what was going on when he hit the floor. All he knew was everything he loved, everything he knew of was gone. His life ended at that moment. Now, I don't mean to depress anybody, but it's important to note that things like that really do change people's lives. But only if they make a mindset change. Because when you come back into your normal world, after the anesthetic wears off and things like that, or all of you have ever been sick, we go back into the same routine, right? The same people annoy us, the same things annoy us. There isn't that great thing that you see on the TV, you know, in these stories that he came back and now he's a completely different person. About 30 days, you're a completely different person. And then it goes back to the same. Now, all of you should have a sheet on. It's got 4 circles on it. Let me go with my high-tech instruments. This is your worksheet, guys. And in this, you see 4 circles. In the first circle, I want you to write, if you would, results. Because that's what we want, right? Better results. I have pens in my box. If you need pens, there should be a whole load of those in the bottom of that box. What's interesting is what gets us results. Anybody ever think what gets us results? What gets us results is behaviors. We behave in a certain way, we get a certain result, do we not? We do something and we expect a certain result out of it. That's where the old Einstein thing comes from, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different outcomes, different results. So what we do is we conduct certain behaviors, we wind up with certain results. Anybody here a fisherman? Anybody a freshwater fisherman? Okay. I'm a bass fisherman, largemouth bass. I did a lot of it in Florida. And when you go out bass fishing, you have your results is you want to catch fish, is it not? You want to catch fish. You want to catch big fish. You want to catch a lot of fish. So you go out, you get in your boat, you go out there, you throw your rod, you hit, you catch fish. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I have my friend Danny, who he and I are like the odd couple. People used to line up every Sunday waiting for us to come through in a little electric John boat on their lake so that they could have a show. And sometimes we'd fish with exactly the same equipment, the same lures, the same rod, the same reel, the same hooks. And I'd catch everything and he'd catch nothing. And one day, we'd go through this lake, and one day we found ourselves down this one pathway, like the end of the lake, and it was full of garbage. Now, every fisherman knows bass do not like dirty lakes because they're ambush hunters. They control by sight. You can't see stuff like that. And I said, let me try something. So I took out the longest worm I had, which was an 8-inch purple one, put it on a hook that was the wrong hook, cast the rod, hit the water, and all of a sudden, I go like this, because I feel something tug. I set the hook, and I said, oh, okay, I just hooked something on the bottom. I'm sorry I cast anything garbage. I should have known better. I don't want to cut my line. I have spider wire, which is very highly braided, very expensive fishing line. And he says, I don't know, but I'm trying to reverse out of here, and we're going the other way. That's interesting, isn't it? We're trying to reverse out of here, and we're going the other way. And what happened was, I had a certain behavior. I cast the line, right? I expected certain results. Well, what sets our behaviors? Well, believe it or not, folks, it's everything we've ever learned, experienced, seen, read, heard. That's what makes our behaviors. If you're going to fish in certain ways, you learn a certain behavior of fishing, a certain way of fishing. If you're going to run an organization, there's a way it's always been run, isn't there? You learn new things, maybe you apply them, maybe you don't. In fact, we were just talking about how do you change things? Well, just reading books or getting shelf help, as we call it, going to seminars, doesn't do anything. Unless you take action on that potential That's what goes here. Potential is the possibility of learning something, something you've always learned. So I always knew that you never fished in dirty water, because the behavior said that you can't catch fish in there, and the results were, I shouldn't be able to catch anything, correct? Now, what makes our potentials? Our beliefs. Do you ever think about that? I believe something, so now I'm going to learn about it to reinforce that belief, and then I'm going to do the same behavior, and then I'm going to get different results. Doesn't always happen that way. Because right down here are beliefs. Guess what creates our beliefs? Our results. Interesting, isn't it? I believe this, I'm going to learn about it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do a certain behavior, I'm going to get results, which brings me back right where I started. Self-fulfilling prophecy, I know this is going to happen because it's happened every time before. And I know that if I do it this way, I went to this restaurant once, I got food poisoning, I'm never going to go to that restaurant again. I could have had nothing to do with the restaurant. Or I took this thing once and now I'm never going to do it again because I had a bad reaction to it. Never taking in everything else. What you have here is that whole graphic representation of doing the same thing over and over again and coming out with different results. And it never does. Well, two things can happen when you do that. One is, if I can just put this right here, is it looks like a circle, doesn't it? Doesn't look like a circle going round and round. It isn't, does it? It's actually a spiral going down. Slinky. Like a slinky. Yep. Best representation I can give you of a spiral, because I can't draw a spiral to save my life. So it can either take you down, or, which most of us are familiar with, it can bring you up the other way. Notice the green and the red? One up, one down. We all know what it is to spiral down. Does anybody know what it is to spiral up? Do you have any idea of what an example of spiraling up is? What? Well, that's nature, spiraling up. Actually, it spirals down. The air is actually moving down the column, not up. Everybody thinks it's moving up, but it's really not. The air is coming down. What's that? Think about this. Edison turned around and he said, I'm going to make a light bulb. Did he not? So he had a belief that he could make a light bulb. So what did he do? He said, let me study the materials I have. Let me make a light bulb, let me try it, let me see what happens. Well, the light bulb didn't work the first time, did it? But he didn't change his belief. He said, okay, let me try something different. Let me try it again, let me see what happens. Didn't have a light bulb. What happened was, and what made Edison so brilliant, and most inventors, is they break that. They do not let their results indicate their beliefs, or make their beliefs. And I've heard it in organizations, and this works for people, this works in life, this works in business, this works in organizations. Let's try to raise money. What, anybody have any ideas? Yeah. Let's try this. Oh, we tried that 22 years ago and it didn't work, so let's try something else. Have we ever done this? Yeah, we did this, so it didn't work at the time, so let's not do it. Kids with study, have you ever tried this? I know you're not going to be able to do it. That is where we get stuck in life. And breaking this is one of the most difficult things you can do, or it can be very easy. How difficult do you folks think, you guys think changing a belief is? It's very difficult to anybody else say almost impossible? Almost impossible. What I told you and showed you how you can change a belief in less than 5 minutes. Would that be interesting? Absolutely, right? Everybody, please stand up. Everybody stand up. Give each other some room. We'll do a little exercise here. We do a little exercise here. Give each other enough room. Because what I want you to do is this. Keeping your feet on the floor about shoulder width. Put your right hand out, finger forward. Okay, everybody. You need to move over a little bit. Now what I want you to do is turn clockwise as far as you can comfortably and mark with your eye on the wall or wherever where you got to. Okay? Comfortably, you don't have to strain yourself. I don't want anybody getting hurt after lunch. Okay, everybody turn back to the front. Putting your hand down. What I want you to do now is close your eyes. I don't want you to do anything except raise your right hand up and the finger up. That's all I want you to do. I do not want you to move. What I want you to do is in your mind, and in your mind only, I want you to imagine turning clockwise. No, don't move. Follow the rule. Wesley, follow the instructions. Okay? It's always one, right? I want you, in your mind, to do the same thing, but turning to where you were before, and now going forward, further. Going 10% further in your mind. In your mind, yes, in your mind, it's time, Wesley. Turning 10% further. Turning 20% further. In your mind only. In your mind only. You can tell these are Republican. In your mind only, I want you to do this. I want you to turn 30%. 40% in your mind. Only in your mind. 50%. Some of you can go even further in your mind, as far as your mind will let you go. Great, that's terrific. You're all doing terrific. Now, what I'd like you to do is open your eyes. Everybody got their eyes open? I want you to, keeping your finger out, keeping your feet on the ground, turn in a clockwise motion and see where you end up. Everybody went further, didn't they? Yeah. In fact, considerably further. You can all sit down. Considerably further. What did we change?
I didn't. I ran into you. I know. I think you're a roadblock.
What's that? Yep. I changed the belief. When you first got up and I asked you how far you could turn, you only believed that you could turn that far. Yeah. Just having your mind being told that you could turn further, in your mind alone, you changed that belief. What happened? You got better results, didn't you? Even though you didn't change your behavior, you got better results because you learned something. You learned the fact that you could actually turn further than you thought you could turn. And that your mind is so powerful that it can do things you wouldn't believe. I remember when I first saw this, I said, yeah, right, this is a gag. There's something to it. I will tell you, every time I do this demonstration, it's exactly the same efficacy, the same results. Sometimes it's even greater. I had somebody who was turned around 100% more than he did before. So what you got here is an actuality of how to change your beliefs. That you can do it because the mind's so strong. Now, I could go into a whole lot of different things. And I can tell you, as most of my clients do when they want to change something, they don't want to do anything. You notice that? I want better results, but I don't want to change a thing. It's always the other people's problems. And I tell them in my little toolbox, I've got a lot of things. The one thing I don't have two things. I don't have a magic wand, and I don't have pixie dust. I just can't sprinkle stuff on you and say, you're changed. You're going to get better results. It takes work on your part. Those are the things that you need to do to get better results. That breaks it, because now you know in your mind that your results and your beliefs are not attached together. We changed the belief, and look what happened. You got better results. Now, does anybody have any questions about any of the stuff we just talked about? I entertain questions all the time. People, you might have questions.
Yeah, I'm always full of questions.
Good.
Yeah, the question block. So, if you do this with, sales, it's all about performance. In this club, besides the fact we like to get together, instead of eat lunch, most of the time, we want to raise money and give it away.
Right.
That's what we do.
Right.
Raise money and give it away. We have this food and wine tasting. Right. People come, in the office of charity, and they eat and get drunk and go home. And hopefully stay on the beach till they get sued.
Right.
Okay? And so every year, trying to figure out how to make more money. Well, the limitation that we have is the facility where we have the event. We're comfortable, and you're comfortable with about 1,500 attendees, which is pretty nice.
Right.
We understand that the way to make more money is to have more sponsors that believe in what we do.
Right.
And so it seems like what's in our way is the impetus to go get sponsors.
Okay.
And we say, well, we don't know how.
Well,
Yeah, I'm a plumber, I'm a roofer, I'm a...
first of all, may I stop you right there? You have a belief that you're starting off with, that I'm a roofer, I'm a plumber, I don't know how. Every one of you knows how. Every single one of you knows how. But as long as you believe you don't know how, you're never going to get better results. Because you believe you don't know, you're not going to get the results you want. That's your limitation right then and there. If you believe you're a plumber, you go out and get new business every day, don't you?
Every day.
Everybody, lawyers go out and get new business every day. Bankers go out and get new business every day. So don't tell me that you don't know how to go out and get new business. You don't know how to go out and get new sponsors. Once you decide you have the skills, you get together, you set out a plan. Okay, this is how we're going to do it. You're going to handle all these people. You're going to handle these people. This is what we're going to say and do. We're going to go out and actually do it. Then, if you don't get the results you want, you're going to have to make adjustments to here or adjustments to here. And that's when you come back and hold a meeting and decide or get a coach to say, okay, where do we need the adjustments made? But never, if it's a positive belief, never change that belief. You may have to adjust it a little bit, but as long as your belief is that you're here to help the community, and you're here to give back and raise money to give back, which I know is very important in Rotary, and you have that belief, it's going to carry through to your results. That belief in you is not stronger than your potentials or your behavior. You've allowed that negative belief to take over for you. So my challenge to you is this. How are you going to do it differently this year? How are you going to do it differently? Okay? Because if you do it differently in some way, you're going to get the results that you want. It's up to all of you to do that. Any other questions? By the way, what happened was he hooked into that. When I hooked into that, and the boat was going the wrong way. Do you know why it was going the wrong way? You're absolutely right. The biggest bass I ever caught in my life must have been close to 10 pounds. Now, if anybody knows what a 10-pound largemouth bass looks like, it's big. And this is no fish store. It's big, and it's that big. Now, I really believe that there should be fish in there. Everybody else believed there shouldn't be fish because we were taught that bass are ambush hunters and they need to see. So nobody ever cast a line in there. So nobody ever caught one. And Mr. Bass must have been about 20 years old for the size that he was. And because I took a chance, cast my line, I caught the biggest bass of my life. And you know what else was interesting? For those of you who have ever caught a bass, when they're hooked, they leave a little scar underneath if you take the hook out. You always see a little scar. You can see how many times the fish has been hooked. He didn't have one scar underneath except for where my hook went. I cut the barb off. I said, thank you, Mr. Bass, for allowing me to catch him. And I put him back in. So that also tells you about fishing in the same pond. Sometimes you're fishing in the wrong places or you believe that the big fish aren't there. And they're there simply because nobody has fish there because they all believe we're human. And that guy fell down, died that night, 2 minutes and 32 seconds, flatline. It really wasn't his time because as he was laying on the floor and they were calling 911, the paramedics were coming there for dessert. And they brought him back. It just wasn't his time. And gentlemen, I'm glad it wasn't my time. Because otherwise I wouldn't be here helping you change your beliefs and behaviors so that you can get better results in everything you do. In life, in business, and for this organization. I will be here for about 10, 15 minutes after the end. If anybody wants to come up and talk to me personally, I'll be more than happy to tell you a little bit more what I do and how I do it. I also will put out a sign-up sheet for my e-newsletter, all tips on how to get out of your own way. so that you can get more better results and be happier and healthier in your life in every aspect. And I thank you, Pete, thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you. And gentlemen, I thank you